are, day 2.
Like hang it straight. Oh my god.
It's much busier today.
Let's see what they have. Maybe if they have like a hot dog.
We'll just make a loop. Go around that way. Toys and collectibles. Super bad. We can say hi.
Do you just want him to sign his name? Just like 80%?
Adorable.
We've come over this things for quite a while. Little kids' cartoons. And what I knew was that this was a completely different animal. The writing was more like a radio play. It had all these huge issues and ethics and morality and these. So I knew it was different, and that's what attracted me to it. And I was right, and I think that's why 30 years later people are still rewatching the old one, because it aimed like this over kids' heads. It was made for kids, aimed over their heads, and kids absorbed these huge lessons without even realizing that they were absorbing them. And it's still relevant today. So the writing, it's all hands set together. And Eric and Julia Wall, the writing and the original show is why we're still here talking about 97. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew, talk to us about your X-Men origin. How were you first introduced?
Mine was actually through the Fox films. Oh, that one's yours.
Also for that.
There are advantages to theater background. Yeah, mine was through, my original exposure to it was a comic here and there. I was in boarding school in England when the original show came out, so I didn't see it because of prison. So I would get, people would have comics, but it was never a continuous run. So you'd get one issue here, one issue there. And they were cool, but every single issue, the team was different, who was on whose side was different, who was connected to who was different, and so you would only sort of get snippets. So I didn't really develop an understanding or an affection for it out of that. It was the Fox, live action films, but when I think back as well, I already knew all of the characters and I knew the basic setup, and I don't exactly know where that came from, just general osmosis through culture. But that was the first sort of continuous storyline that I saw with the live action. And then when this job came about, my homework was to go back and watch the original 5 seasons of the animated series, because I had an awesome job and my homework was brilliant. And so that's what sort of filtered in the middle. And then, just going to now, we have the beauty of the internet, so you're like, wait, who is that character? You can go and immediately find out their entire character history, their powers, their abilities, the 12 people who've been credited as their parents in different issues and the theories and things like that, and be like, I don't know what's happening, but everyone seems to be having a really good time.
For me, it was the original animated series. back in Brazil watching it, probably, you know, like everybody on a Saturday morning at my mom's kitchen. And that was probably one of, maybe the first introduction to superheroes. And Wolverine was, you know, my favorite character. And then from there, you know, all the X-Men movies, a big fan. And then, you know, Logan and all of that. And then, but yeah, it was the animated series.
This is gonna sound like a strange intro, but my first like real like intro to Marvel in general was the 2002 Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, and so a couple people know seen them, I think. It was when I saw those, I was like, "There's this whole other world I didn't know existed," and so I was just swept in by the whole story, and I started to collect comics at that point. My favorite comic that I have is Spider-Man 50, where it's a Spider-Man No More, and it got Stan Lee and John Romita to sign it and everything. So I've been a nerd for a very long time. So that was my whole intro. And then, but what was weird is I somehow knew the X-Men animated series theme song already, and I didn't know when I heard it or how I heard it. It was like just in my head, and I was like, that's bizarre. So maybe, I don't know, it was like a calling card to later in my life. But I of course watched the show, and like it was such a magical time of cartoons. You know, that, Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man Animated Series, all in the 90s. So X-Men was a natural progression, and I just loved the characters, and like sitting here and getting to call Catherine a colleague of mine is like the coolest like thing in the world. Like, you know, just to be with these people that I grew up with. But yeah, that was my intro to the X-Men world, and then the Fox movies as well. My friend and I watched them endlessly, and so I'm so happy to be here. But that's how I got into the mutant world.
Amazing.
My answer has always been the Fox films, but now that I really think about it, so when I was a kid in the 90s, back in the 90s, our social lives were not on our phones, they were in a mall. So I was always hanging out at the arcade at the mall, and I would watch I was a voyeur. I would watch other people play because I was crap at button mashing. And that's how, so Marvel vs. Capcom, the original X-Men, the animated series, the original X-Men video game, which makes no sense, but is so good. Yeah, like it was that really came first, and then the movies. But I didn't really get into the animated series until my audition, because I was a Power Rangers fan, and I would come home from school and sit down and turn on the TV, and I would see the end credits of X-Men as the Power Rangers would start.
It's so fun to hear like how our stories are similar and dissimilar, and the points of commonality. I also, a child of the 90s, was, for me, it wasn't Saturday morning, it was after school. And I remember it would like run home, and it was that great lineup. It was with the Batman and X-Men, and I just fell in love with X-Men. And I remember feeling like, oh, watching cartoons, like no one's doing, like this is like, I had to keep it a secret, and then I discovered like coffee shop culture, and everybody at the coffee shop was talking about X-Men. It was like, oh, there's my people. Like, I'm a coffee shop and X-Men kind of girl, and there was like debates about Beast this and Wolverine that, and I was introduced to the world of the comics through my friend, who then was like my coworker later at the coffee shop, and she would always just keep me updated about what's going on in the comics. And she's like, it's really deep. Like, you're like, I don't know if I have enough time to get you caught up to speed. But eventually she did, and so yeah, when the audition comes, it's like childhood dreams coming true. Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of a similar experience.
Awesome.
As I looked through, would have been so funny if that was the final name of the thing. So much less impactful. But yeah, as I read through, and luckily, like it was said earlier, we have the beauty of the internet to research and figure out the different history and the background of all these things. So I looked up Philip Aiken's original performance in the show originally as the original Bishop in the 92 series. Thank goodness I had it, because I had a lot of great things to base off of, and then kind of give my own spin, and yeah, but yeah.
I love his voice.
Oh, yeah. Let's see,
Seen a lot of futures, but Magneto leading the X-Men, that's a new one.
I'm gonna go to the other side.
And a Rolls Royce to computer scans.
Let's go to the food area.
Should I try these drinks? Looks good.
Gamer subs.
What do you think?
It's very good. Yeah, check them out, guys.
It's an energy drink. There's those teas, those are so good. There are food trucks over there. You want to check those out at some point, maybe tomorrow? Eat lunch over there tomorrow, maybe? Oh, Ronald McDonald, want to go look over there? Well, there's a bunch of Deadpool merch here. Team Liquid. Bien, bien. Oh. Cool.
We just talked to her.
Hey, T-Mobile. Yeah. Dave and Buster's. Oh, okay. Oh, we have some signings going on here. It's about food trucks. A lot of signings going on. Cool stuff, cool stuff. A lot of people taking pictures.
I don't know, but we're doing these
nights at Freddy's. Let's go this way. Cool. So let me know if you want to stop for any pictures. Lots of really cool costumes.
I wonder what this one's for.
Photo op for something. Oh, you know, yeah, they're doing them again today. So we were here yesterday to see Doc and Marty, and people are here today to see them too. Oh, hey, there's our friend from yesterday. Yeah, cool experience. And now we are headed to the main stage to see
So that's photo ops.
the Addams Family. Hopefully we can get a seat over there. A lot going on today. Michael J. Fox is here. I have a QR code for donating for Parkinson's research. That's really great. A lot of Marty taking a photo together down there. Seen a lot of Back to the Future cosplay. Because we have the cast here. Heading over to the main stage. Hope we get a seat, but we'll see. We might have to stand. Very, very busy, yeah. Lots of cool costumes. A couple Wolverines all in one place. It's a multiverse here. DeLorean. Let's go this way.
Should we just cut through the middle? Sailor Moon. Look.
Yeah, I saw it. All right, we have a panel going on here. Hopefully we can get a seat. Let's see. Main stage. Are the Teletubbies here?
Teletubbies.
Oh, there's a line for them now. I see a lot of rogues today. It's awesome. We decided not to do full cosplay today. Just have our Wolverine and Deadpool shirts for our Marvel themed day. We decided to do. Alright, can we get a seat? Probably not. It's really busy.
Really? Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Lori in there. Let's go this way. Oops. Join this line here.
I am a massive fan of Meat Bob's Burgers and what we do in the shadows. So my question is, what member of the Belcher family do you think would get along best with?
Yeah, it'll be later.
Yeah, we want to just
Yeah, let's just hang out here.
take a stance.
Yeah.
Who of the Belcher family would get along best with the what we do in the Shadows crew? Oh, instantly Linda. Linda would have so much fun with she has fun everywhere she goes. She's one of my favorite characters of all time. I think Linda would have the best time. And Louise, obviously, because she's like, she would be ready to go like hunting with them and stay up all night. Tina would be in love with them, right? She would have like major crushes on all of them. And then Gene would be pretty oblivious. He might hang out with Guillermo.
Yeah. We'd be friends.
And Bob probably would not want to deal. Yeah.
Thank you for your question.
I've lost the
There's a Naja over there too.
Oh, over here.
There's a Naja right there?
Yes.
Oh no, they missed her right here. She's Naja right there. Oh, she's coming to the front. Naja!
There's a rumor that Abbott Elementary and Always Sunny is going to have a crossover. If you guys were to have a crossover, what show would it be?
The Bear. Hacks. Who could we go? What
Hacks
world
would be fun.
What world could we? I guess we could go into any world. The Bear would be pretty funny.
Comedy with comedy.
Yeah, but like.
Why are you laughing?
Just being in a restaurant. What else? What?
I like
gotta
Hacks.
be a really good
Hacks is
answer.
good.
Hacks is pretty funny if they
Yeah.
try to get into the stand-up comedy world, and because that happens at night. So I'd like that, and then they get into the whole PR of it all and that kind of thing.
That's it.
Hacks.
Hacks.
Thank you for your question. I think right here there's a person.
So my question is, obviously this is an adaptation from the movie, and a lot of times when adaptations happen, whether it's a TV show or a sequel or whatever it might be, the audience is kind of apprehensive and a little like, I don't know. How did you feel any nerves starting this show, knowing that like you were already having this audience from the movie, and then how does it feel knowing that the show was so successful and there's some people who might not even know the original now and they know the show?
Great question. I mean, I didn't start on the show. You did, Harvey, but I will say, I think the movie was a cult hit. So there was probably you and maybe your group of friends that knew about the movie. I hope. Sorry, Jermaine and Tyga, if that's not true. But it wasn't like
They're coming in over here.
huge. Oh, it's a huge hit. No, so I think it because it was beloved but not a blockbuster probably helped for the spin-off to not feel like the hatred of the fans. And your hatred is real. We feel it. They feel.
Yeah, there was a fear of going into the show that people who were obviously fans of the movie, they're like already coming in with like, I'm not gonna like this at all, you know, oh, I can't wait to fall in your face kind of thing. We're like, hey, we're in the same world, but we're different, you know, characters where no one's trying to replace anyone. And it helped that Taika and Jermaine kind of, you know, give their seal of approval because they directed a couple of first episodes and it was in their vision. They created this world, so they wouldn't pass the baton over unless they felt comfortable. So it was nice that it took a second. I think that by the first season, people were like, all right, I like it, you know. But it did take a second. But I think if you liked us, you liked us for a completely different reason. I think the vibe of our crew and cast is so different. With the movie, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And with us, the trajectory of 5 seasons, and who knows, you know, how many more you could think of storylines, because you do live in the world where anything's possible. So every season we come back and we have this new year, and we're like, how lucky we are that we have such great writers that every year it gets funnier. It's so funny. We're still in this world. We're living and breathing in this world. So
There's a few more women in the TV show.
that part. But that's why we were so excited when you joined the cast. Because for so long it was Natasha, and you know, we were like, we need more female representation, and here comes Kristen.
As gaffers and lighters and set designers and props and cameras and sound, and the list goes on, and they work longer hours than my dad, who was a carpenter, and he would get up at 6, but he would come home at 6. Whereas my team players that work on the set of Shadows work really long hours, but everybody does it with really great integrity. So I would just like to say that how it is in Hollywood, there's a lot of people working with lovely integrity. They're hard workers, they're artistic, and they're smart as all get out. And the experience on set is everyone has a really good time. There's a lot of vulnerability, and when you're acting too, I would say there was moments where I felt vulnerable and I was like, did that work? Was that funny? And maybe I would like stew in my trailer and I wouldn't open the door for, no, just kidding. No, you know, there's moments where you feel vulnerable, but at the end of the day, there's so many good people surrounding you that everybody involved on this show, and there's hundreds, are just some of the best people you'll ever meet.
Yeah. I feel like that's true. I feel like you never want to be at a job that you don't want to bump into someone at 5 in the morning after working 16-hour days. And so I think that we're lucky, at least I feel like, we're lucky to work on sets that everyone's in it together. You're like a team. Like the people on Shadows who work on our show, like they love the show. They literally live and breathe it. The set designer, like the costumers, everyone, they go above and beyond. Everyone else could easily clock out. I only work 9 to 5 and I'm out at 5. As per my last email, don't interrupt me, but in Hollywood and in our business, you have to love what you're doing because the days are long, and the years are short. And so you miss a lot of birthdays and a lot of, quinceañeras and a lot of graduations because you're doing your craft and you're so blessed to be doing what you love. But
so hard to get jobs.
So hard to get jobs, but it's also hard to stop doing what you love to do because if you stop doing what you love to do, then you don't get to see your favorite show. And you don't get to see your favorite show if everyone was not doing and working at 150%. So I think that we're very lucky to work with people in our casting crew and in our shows that are very, very in love with what they do. So yeah.
We're lucky. Thank you for watching. We
Thank
couldn't
you.
do it without you.
Couldn't do it without you.
Thank you for your question, and thank you guys for being such amazing guests. We're all going to tune in October 21st for season 6. And everyone, please put your hands together for the amazing Kristen Shaw and Harvey Gian.
Hey, let's do a selfie together.
Comic-Con, and don't forget to come back to the main stage for our national cosplay contest at 5:30. So is everybody feeling good? Or maybe you're feeling mysterious and spooky? You know what time it is. Are you ready for the Addams Family? Are you ready for Morticia? Wednesday, Pugsley, and Lurch. The ultimate family reunion. I don't know about you, but I am so stoked about this. And here to introduce our strange and deranged brood, our moderator. Give it up for Mr. Tom Jorgensen. Come on out, Tom.
What's up, LA Comic-Con? How we doing? We ready to get a little weird up in here? Then there is no time to waste. I am so honored to bring out the cast of the Addams Family and the Addams Family values. First up, Lurch, Carl Stroiken. Pugsley himself, Jimmy Workman. I think it's safe to say everybody's favorite day of the week, Wednesday, Christina Ricci. Now, I've got some agents out there trying to figure out what Uncle Fester's up to right now. That might be a mystery we have to solve later, but here's one mystery we don't have to wait to solve. Who's ready for some Morticia? The matriarch of the Addams Family, Angelica Houston. Thank you all for joining us here today. What a reunion indeed. I want to take things back to when you were first making this movie, because getting everybody together really feels special, especially when the Addams Family is such an iconic family that we all look up to in our own ways. I want to know, what was the feel on set? Was there a family feel for you when you were making this movie?
Pretty bonded, and everybody, Angelica and Raul and Carl and Chris, they were all so kind to us as, you know, we were kids. So kind to us, and I know, you know, I spent hours in your trailer learning things from you and asking a million questions. Asking if you could drive. Wanting to drive, yes.
That actually got crashed in Paramount a few times.
A couple of golf cart incidents on set.
Yeah.
Who was the worst? And when I say the worst, who is the most adventurous with the golf carts?
I would always instigate stealing them and then run away, and Jimmy would get in trouble.
Yeah, she started it, I crashed, and it kind of went downhill from here.
Well, you know what? Before we get much further, we do have an empty chair here, and that does feel a little too odd for the Addams Family. So I do want to maybe. Do we have one more member of the Addams Family we can bring up? Yeah, I think we do. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how about Uncle Fester himself, Christopher? So, Chris, were you up to some Uncle Fester stuff? Doing Uncle Fester stuff? You were up to some Uncle Fester stuff before you came up on stage? Yeah. We were speaking earlier about the experience of making this movie and that sort of family feel, and it does feel appropriate then to acknowledge somebody that's not with us, who's Raul Julia, who is just so incredible as Gomez. And boy, I want to start off here by talking about what your memories of working with Raul were, and what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of that experience? There it is.
He was always first on set, last to leave. He was incredibly amenable. He'd do anything you asked him to. He was a great dancer. I'd get really grumpy around dancing rehearsals, which I felt were unnecessary because I was such an excellent dancer. And he would insist on being there on time and staying all the way through. He was consummate professional, really great, and really fun. And he'd always sing between scenes, between takes. He always would sing full opera. So he kept us entertained.
Christopher, how about you? Do you have any strong memories of Raul?
I remember, speaking of his scene, he did a lot of scenes in some Broadway musicals. Mr.
Kiss of the Spider Woman. Don Quixote.
De la Mancha. And, but I remember once we had a scene when we were, it was like nighttime, Italy,
We were always in a cavern.
yes. And it was very romantically lit. And when nobody was shooting, we all got up and would sing these arias. And it was so beautiful and romantic and really wonderful. He had a big, big heart, very warm person, very loving.
And Christina and Jimmy, how about you? Did he serve as sort of like was there like any father figure stuff coming from him as well? Any lessons learned there?
Well, yes. He, as we've already covered, he loves singing. That was amazing. He used to play, at least with me, he used to play jacks and cards, chase me around, not telling me when I did something wrong, which was pretty much 99.9% of the time. All around, he was just a great man. I mean, I can't tell you, I'm half Greek and my grandparents came from Greece. We were shooting in Burbank, I think it was by the golf course, the facade of the house. During lunch, he actually scaled the side of the hill with my grandmother, picking what he perceived to be a spinach, which probably could have been, could not have been. But that just kind of showed you what type of person he was, caring, and just wanted to be involved in a part of things. That's the man I know and remember.
Yeah, he was really, really incredible. He was just such a brilliant actor and so much fun to be around, so charming. And yeah, he sung opera at the top of his lungs and danced, and he taught us Puerto Rican songs. And then he also seemed to he was just so empathetic and generous, and I think he could tell sometimes when we as kids were nervous. And I remember several times feeling really nervous, and he would call me over and start singing a song with me or teaching me a little dance or something to just make things easier for me and sort of break up how anxious I was. And he was just so lovely and warm. Really incredible man.
How about for you, Carl? Any Raoul memories come to mind?
Well, apart from this wonderful singing repertoire of all the songs he knew, another memory I have of him is after the movie we had to do all these press junkets, and he got mad as hell about that. Because it went on from 7 in the morning till somewhere in the evening. So at a certain point he grabbed me and said, "Come, we're gonna go to the bar." And so we sat in the bar and he said, "This is all on the Paramount staff. So what is the most expensive bottle you have here?" And so we drank a bottle of very expensive cognac. And even though I'm not an enthusiastic drinker of liquor, of course I couldn't pass up on this one.
I love that everybody seems to have a little bit of a mischievous streak. It fits. Angelica, you and I were talking a little bit backstage about one of my favorite aspects of Morticia, and it's this intensity that comes through her eyes. And you've talked in the past about how you found a lot of delivering Morticia coming through the eyes. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how hard it was to maybe focus on that aspect of your performance when there was so much craziness going on around you, staying locked into Morticia like that?
Well, initially I tried to emote my body, which was very difficult because my dress was very restrictive. So you'll see in the first Addams Family, I turned my entire body when I'm supposed to just turn my head. So that became a thing. So, for instance, if I was working with Christopher, full half circle, and then it occurred to me that I didn't have to do that, that I could actually make a shorthand out of it. So I wound up just doing half of what I normally would do. And it seemed to work, so it got less and less, and the lesser it got, the more Barry Sonnenfeld would compensate by lighting me a certain way. So in the end, he used what he called a tweenie, which is a light, a small light, that just illuminated my eyes, so I basically didn't have to do much. And that was really convenient.
Oh man, and Christopher, something that I notice from a lot of the characters that you have played is that they cut an immediately recognizable silhouette. When I think of Judge Doom, when I think of Doc Brown, these are characters that have an instantly recognizable look. And I want to know for Fester, he also has that very iconic sort of potato sack dress that he wears. Was that helpful, getting into that costume, for finding who Fester was? Or did you already have a pretty good idea of how you wanted to play the character?
Yes, a bit of both. I mean, certainly, I'm not rotund. No, I'm not rounded out.
Not quite the same body shape as Fester.
No, so I knew I had some kind of padding. I mean, so, and that just helps me get there.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good idea. I kind of grew up on it. I used to see Thomas Adams, toys, magazines, Uncle Fester. I had a fondness for him. I enjoyed his wickedness.
Did anyone else find getting into... Oh, I was gonna ask, did anybody else find getting into their costume for the first time, like getting an insight into your character that maybe you didn't when you first read it? Like, did you learn anything about your character when you first got into that costume? No. Cool.
I had shorts and a black and white striped shirt.
Well, this is what I want.
Mine was kind of easy.
Yours in particular, Jimmy, the note that I took while I was watching the first two movies, just in big letters, Pugsley is a style icon. Crushed red velvet, he's got that little weird frocked thing, shorts with everything. It kind of feels like anything Pugsley wears, you could show up to the Met Gala in that and just be fine. Yeah, there's a lot of good style in this movie. Christina, I do want to talk to you real briefly about the fact that you serve as this really important bridge, I think, between sort of multiple generations of the Addams family, the way that we experienced that franchise. You appear in Wednesday as Marilyn there, and I want to know how it felt for you, I want to know how it felt for you personally, being able to be that kind of bridge, and how it was being on that set for you.
Well, I mean, I don't see myself as a bridge. unfortunately, I don't have that sort of objectivity and perspective. You know, I was thrilled to work with Tim again and to get to go and be, you know, on in Wednesday show. It was really fun. It was exciting, and I loved this experience. And I loved playing Wednesday, but I would have to be a sociopath to be able to view myself as a bridge.
Well, we'll leave that to. I think it's probably fair to say that a lot of the Wednesday fans out there were probably very delighted to see you, you know, giving the Wednesday stamp of approval there. So I think everyone's pretty grateful for that. Carl, for you, another thing that I noticed watching these movies, just the fine detail of it all, is the way that lurch is used to get in and out of scenes in these really funny ways, whether it's you doing something, you know, as simple as dusting or something way more weird and that's just in the background. Do you have any memories of stuff like that you shot that maybe didn't make it into the movie that you wish had? Any of those small lurch moments, or do you have a favorite lurch moment in the movie?
The most memorable was when I had darts thrown at me. But, yeah.
The darts. Actually, that reminds me, Christopher, there's another instance of a near miss coming at somebody's head, just like the dart thing. There's a scene in the first movie where Raoul flips you over and then throws a knife at your head. And usually what I would have thought was, oh, they reversed the footage. But it doesn't actually look like it does. Do you remember how Barry shot that scene of that knife coming so close to your head?
In fact, I haven't fallen on see it until just now.
It's so close to your eyeball, it is very uncomfortable for me.
I
should remember a knife coming that close. Yeah. Well, Angelica, I wanted to ask you, something I heard you say recently is that you're a big fan of another big family from TV, the Schitt's Creek, the Rose family. You're a big Schitt's Creek fan. And something occurred to me. There is actually a lot of crossover between the Rose family and the Addams family. They're both kind of fish out of water. Everyone else kind of sees them as strange. Do you think that Moira and Morticia would have been friends if they lived in the same town? It kind of seems like those two characters would have a lot to talk about.
I think they'd have been sisters.
Morticia, and Moira, they almost sound like sisters.
Yeah, definitely. And also for myself, I have to say that one of my most amused moments was seeing a professor with 2 straws coming out of his nose when he's trying to enchant Debbie in number 2. I thought it was incredibly charming.
Another scene that I really, really enjoy from the Addams Family, and I think it kind of speaks to this idea of normality and how the Addams Family relate to it, is the school play scene from the first movie, in which Jimmy and Christina here both go at each other with swords and lots of fake blood ensues. Do you have any... Was that a fun scene to film, or was working with all the fake blood in that scene like kind of overwhelming?
We had a really good time.
That was a lot of fun.
It was really fun.
I will tell you that that stuff
You could point your blood at people and spray them with it.
And it would take them 3 days to remove it.
Well, yeah, at that time, they didn't have the blood they have now that's easy to remove. Yep. And I'm so scarred by this that still to this day, when I'm working, and they're like, we're going to put blood on you, I'm like, no, that stuff doesn't come off. And they're like, it's not 1992 anymore. We have new stuff. But at the time, it was like corn syrup and red food dye. So you would literally stain you from, so we were red for a very long time afterwards, basically.
And even more fun part is I think we had to do the fencing.
The fencing and the, it was good.
There's a lot of fencing, a lot of sword play in these movies. Another thing that I kind of want to talk about here is this is directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who, of course, before this was Barry Sonnenfeld's first movie that he directed, shot a lot of movies for the Coen brothers before that, including Raising Arizona, which I think is one of the most visually impressive comedies ever, and he really brings that visual flair to the Addams Family. How much of an impact do you think Barry's eye had on the lasting effect of the Addams Family?
I think it had a huge effect. I mean, he shot it in such an iconic way. You know, like I'm not a photographer, so I don't have the vocabulary to discuss it. But you know, all the frames are really strong, impactful, sort of iconic images, and you know, even when you like, in the same way that Raising Arizona is very iconically shot. But yeah, I think his eye, and he was the director. His direction had a ton to do with how lasting this movie was for people, or these movies.
Here, get in the picture, honey. Awesome.
God forbid I should get a flat tire or whatever, you know, or people chasing me down the street or following me home, or all that sort of stuff that happened back then. I think it's a lot better now, but, you know, so what? I want to wear a dress once and I want to leave you alone. And, you know, it's that sort of feeling.
Oh, it's going to sound terrible, too. It's going to be just miserable. Okay, Tu Wong Fu. Oh, Lord, everyone talk amongst yourselves. That's exactly what I'm going for. Okay, Tom Jones. Okay.
there's a difference between drag and drag race. Like that's two different things, you know? So it's important, they say all drag is valid, and that's true, all drag is valid. So I would say don't compare yourself to what you see on TV. I mean, there's a lot of other places to see the history of drag and what drag is and what it can be, and just to really embrace it and do it and have fun with it and not compare to other people.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? We have time for one more. Girl, do it after. You in are you a Jedi? You are a Jedi. No, you're not. You're Han Solo. I'm so sorry. I've seen exactly half of one Star Wars movie. It's fine. If this is quick, we'll do another one, but who knows? Okay.
We'll see if it's quick. I am curious. I mean, we've all seen the bridesmaid at a drag show that thinks the show's all about her. So how do you guys handle someone interrupting your show like that?
That is a really good question. Now, personally, I
think it just depends on the energy. Like, sometimes things get, like, disruptive, but, like, if you keep handing me money, I'm gonna not stop you. You know what I mean? So it's like, it just depends. Yeah, like, but I can only speak for myself, right? I know there's other queens, I've been in situations where queens have gotten fired because they have mishandled that type of situation. So you just have to, like, make sure that it's, you know, you're being appropriate for what's going on.
Yeah, a friend of mine that ran the show yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody, welcome to the 1994 Fantastic Four panel. Thank you for coming. I am Andrew Bush from the Superhero Stuff You Should Know podcast, and here's my co-host.
I'm Ben Lund, and I also help run Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
And now we'll introduce the panelists. So we have Jay Underwood. Mark Sykes. Glenn Garland. And Craig Nevius.
So, before we begin, we understand sometimes, we've been telling some people we are doing this panel for the Fantastic Four from the 90s, and sometimes I get asked, there was a Fantastic Four movie in the 90s? So, like, what is the story behind this? So many of you are here because you know that story, but for those who don't, we actually have a nice video to introduce that idea from somebody who could not join us today.
Yeah.
It's like the most faithful I've never seen. Dr. Doom, can you get a quick video for our YouTube channel?
This way.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, like I was going to ask you, infamous Dr. Doom, everybody. This is Fantastic Four, 1994
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.